Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to my talk about the University of British Columbia and also studying in Canada. I'd like to thank IEFT for inviting me along today to speak to you all. And also a big thank you to everyone who is logged in today to listen to me talk about my great institution, but also talking about what the options are in the greater country of Canada as well. So I'll quickly introduce myself. My name is Tom Whitaker, and I'm the European representative for the University of British Columbia. I'm actually based in the UK as UBC's European representative. As you'll appreciate, being such a large university and having so many students that are interested in UBC and coming to UBC, it would be very difficult if everyone from Vancouver campus was traveling all over the world to meet with potential students. So we actually have a series of offices on different continents, in different countries around the world, which allows us to meet the needs of our potential students a little bit better. So I'm based in the UK and look after most European countries, along with my colleague Orçun Altuntaş, who is our director at UBC for Asia Europe. So if you have had a UBC representative come to Turkey in this past 12 months, it was likely Orçun. If you've not got his contact details, then I will definitely share my email address at the end of the presentation. So if you do have any questions, you can always get in touch if you think of something tomorrow, next week, or in 6 months' time. So let's get started and learn about UBC and also what it's like to study in Canada. Now, the big question that I think students should be asking themselves isn't what's the best university for me, it is why should I go to a specific university that I'm looking at? Why am I interested in UBC? Why am I interested in Canada in general? Why am I interested in university, for example, is a great question to start with if you're not exactly sure where you want to go. So the reason I put this slide first is because it's very, very important for students to understand that there isn't just one university that's going to be the perfect fit for every single student around the world. There are tens, if not hundreds of thousands of institutions around, and many of them could be a great fit for you as an individual. So by asking yourself a series of questions, hopefully you can narrow down your choices, whether it's by country, by program, by course, or indeed by the actual universities themselves when you come up with a shortlist. So you really need to have a think about what your motivations are as an individual. Now, I'm originally from the UK, but I actually did my undergraduate and postgraduate studies in the United States in two small liberal arts colleges in Southeast Ohio. Now, my personal motivations for studying at university was obviously number one was to get a great education, to get qualifications that would allow me to succeed in the professional world in my chosen career. But also I wanted to do some things outside of the classroom that were important to me that wouldn't necessarily have been available to me in the UK. So, for example, I was a very keen sportsman, track and field, also football or soccer, as they call it over there, and also cross-country running were big passions of mine, and also writing for the university newspapers, school newspapers. So it was more than just about academics for me. It was also the opportunity to get involved in things outside of the classroom was very, very important. So in terms of my rationale or why I chose to go to the US, it was those things. Now, some people might actually see a location and think, I would love to live in that country, or would love to live in that city, or maybe even they've seen a university in a specific place and they'd love to be there as well. So again, have a think about your motivations, location-wise, the style of learning, the courses available, and also the opportunities outside the classroom. What's important to you and how do they fit in? And these are the three key areas that we'll look at as we go through. And at the end of the session, we'll have a look at the more technical aspects of how you actually apply and are admitted to Canadian universities. So let's have a look at Canada, because Canada is a country that is becoming more and more popular with international students over the past 5 to 10 years. And there's many reasons for this, but three of the big reasons I've actually included on the screen here. So the first thing I'd put there is obviously Canada has a fantastic quality of life, #1 in the world if you're looking at Economist and several other magazines, and that's based on political stability, on healthcare, on quality of education, and other factors as well. So Canada is a very open and honest country, very welcoming to international students as well. It also invests a lot of funding in the university sector. So Canada's spending around 2.5% of its gross domestic product on post-secondary education. So post-secondary means university. And 2.5%, well, it doesn't sound much, but 2.5% of Canada's GDP is about $30 billion. So that goes to show education is taken very, very seriously, and they're investing a lot of funding into these campuses and also bringing world-class professors from all over to come and teach in Canada and ultimately be in the classroom with you guys as students. And also, the third thing that I've included on here, very, very important for international students, there's an opportunity to stay and live and work in Canada after you graduate. So Canada is one of those few countries in the world that actually encourages students to come and actually use education as an immigration tool. So when you graduate from a Canadian institution, you will have the option to take up a 3-year postgraduate work permit, and then you will also be able to renew that for further 3 years if you're enjoying your time in Canada. And if you're really enjoying your time in Canada and you want to stay longer, you can actually apply for permanent residency after several years. And then my joke is, if you love Canada so much that you wish to become Canadian, then you can actually apply for citizenship and dual citizenship after a certain length of time as well, which is actually something that a number of my colleagues who actually work for UBC have done in the past. So moving on from Canada as a whole and sort of political stability, let's have a little look at the different regions, because Canada is the second largest country in the world in terms of landmass. So what you might find on the East Coast, on some of the islands like Newfoundland, Labrador, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, for example, Prince Edward Island, will be very, very different than what you might find on the West Coast in places like British Columbia, where UBC is located. So, if you're looking at the East Coast, it's very, very Northern Europe for me in its terrain and its lifestyle and culture. If you're traveling west to Quebec, it is the dual linguophone, francophone and anglophone province. So it is a bilingual province, so very, very European and very, very French in that respect as well. And as you go all the way out to the West Coast, you'll start to find that once you hit British Columbia, it has very much what we call a West Coast lifestyle. So the climate and the weather tends to be a little bit better. Most people are very interested in the outdoor activities and those types of things. And actually, if you're out on the west coast of Canada, it is very much similar to the Pacific Northwest and the west coast of the US in terms of its lifestyle and climate as well. So in terms of what it looks like, what do the cities look like, what does the terrain look like in Canada? Here's a few snapshots from the various cities. So obviously we've got the big urban landscapes that you'll find in any major city, but also you've got that beautiful terrain, the beautiful oceans, the beautiful lakes, the beautiful mountains, the aurora borealis there as well, and those red pine woods as well that Canada's very, very famous for as well. So again, across Canada, you can have a fantastic opportunity to explore nature, but also explore some great urban areas as well. Now, if we zoom in and have a look at what the university campuses might look like, I've actually put up a picture here of UBC's Vancouver campus, which is a great example of a very, very large campus-based university. So what you can see on the screen there is actually all of our campus. A lot of people see this picture for the first time and presume that that is Vancouver or a little outer part of Vancouver, but all that space you see there is actually our campus. So we're actually separated from the downtown city centre of Vancouver that you can see at the top of the screen by about 4 miles, which takes about 20 minutes on the bus, or about 15 minutes driving, or if you like to run, you can actually run along the beaches from campus to downtown in about 45 minutes. So we're a great example, as mentioned, of a campus-based university. So everything is in one place. So 20 libraries, 15 accommodation blocks, 2 ice rinks and aquatic centres, a cinema, a theatre. Everything is in place for you to really enjoy your time, both socially and academically on campus. And that's what we mean by campus-based. Everything is self-contained in one area. Now, some universities might have a campus that is actually in the city centre. So it could be that you see a campus and all its buildings are spread out around the downtown city centre area. So again, in my first slide, when I'm talking about location, have a think about the type of environment you wish to be in. Are you someone that wants to be in the city centre all the time? If so, maybe a city-based campus is great for you. Are you someone that likes the actual opportunity to build your own community on a campus, but also be close to a city? Something like UBC's Vancouver campus would be a great opportunity. But also, there'll be campuses that are much, much smaller than this, because we actually have 45,000 students studying at the Vancouver campus, which is a lot of students. Some campuses may only have 1,000 or 2,000 students, 5,000 to 10,000 students. So again, have a think about how you would be comfortable in terms of your social environment with however many students living and learning in the same place, but also have a think about how successful you will be in a classroom environment with potentially 200 students in a lecture hall, which is what you can expect at some of the bigger universities. Or contrast that with potentially maybe only being 5 to 10 students in a lecture hall if you're at a very, very small university. How would you handle that? So again, it's not just about choosing a university that's in a city you're excited about or choosing a university based on rankings. You really need to go a little bit deeper and have a look at the statistics and sort of the environment there that you're interested in. So if we have a look at the academics in Canada, it is a very, very different approach than what you might find in most European universities. So Canada is very well known for having very strong academics. So we do have 3 universities that are in the world top 40 rankings. So the University of British Columbia is obviously one of those, which is why I've got the slide up. But also 2 universities you might have heard of before are McGill University, which is out in the province of Quebec, and then also the University of Toronto, which is in the province of Ontario as well. So those 3 universities are consistently ranked as the top 3 Canadian institutions, but also in the world top 40 in terms of reputation rankings. Now, those 3 universities are very, very different in terms of their environment, in terms of their structure, and sort of their personality. But the one thing that links them all together is that they're all research-based universities, which means that they're attracting professors from all over the world to take part in these research projects, world-leading professors, and they're going to be in the classroom teaching you. So definitely a research university has a huge benefit for you as an undergraduate student because you can actually be in a classroom with lots and lots of people, lots and lots of great professors who are leaders in their environment. So let's have a look at the next slide here. One thing that's very, very important, I think, for international students is the student support that you will have going to university, because it is a very, very big change from high school going to university, and also a big change going from your home country in Turkey to a new country such as Canada. So what you will find in Canada, and especially at UBC, are very, very high levels of student retention. So not many students will fail out from universities in Canada. And that's because we do a lot of work and place a lot of emphasis in recruiting the best students to come to the universities who we know are going to be successful, but also offering you lots of support once you're on campus. So in one section, you will have academic support. So professors that are available for you to speak to them after class through office hours. Also academic advisors who can help with planning your courses, what classes you might need to take. Maybe you're unsure about which major, which specialization you want to do. You might know that you want to do something in sciences, but do you want to do biology or chemistry or biochemistry? Or maybe you'd like to do a double major, do 2 things together. How can you do that? And that's where the academic advisors will be there and on hand to help you. And also peer mentors, which are upper year students who are doing your degree, who are on hand to talk to you and guide you through those first year courses as well. Now, also outside of the classroom, we offer a lot of support in terms of trained counselors if you ever are feeling homesick or have any issues, and also support in housing, for example, where we have upper year students who will be looking after a corridor of first year students, and also professional full-time housing managers who look after the residences as a whole as well. So we do want to make sure that you are successful once you get out to Canada as well, and we will offer you lots and lots of support there. Now, in terms of the classroom experience, what can you expect once you're actually at university and on the campus itself? Well, you will get a mix of traditional lectures, like you can see on the photograph on the screen now. You'll have lab classes if you're doing sciences or engineering, where you're actually working on hands-on experiences, hands-on projects. If you're into the humanities and social sciences and the arts, you will have a lot of discussion groups and breakout groups there as well. So yes, there'll be lots of lectures, but also there'll be lots of opportunities to work with small groups and small teams in tutorials and discussion groups as well. Now, again, as I mentioned earlier, it is a very, very different approach than what you might be used to in the traditional European universities. So you can expect a modern pathway. In terms of the contact hours, you should be expecting 15 to 18 hours of lectures per week. Flexible academics means that you're not necessarily bound to one subject for your entire 4 years of study. So we actually have a number of students who join UBC or join other Canadian universities in their first year, and they're not entirely sure what subject they want to do. Yes, they will have a general overview of whether they want to do sciences or engineering or business. But if you choose business as a big example, there is management, there's entrepreneurship, there's marketing, there's finance, there's accounting, there's economics. There's a lot of specializations within the world of business that you might not be entirely sure which one you wish to focus on at the age of 18. So definitely in that first year, you can try a few different classes to see which one you like best before choosing your specialization, or, as they say in Canada, declaring your major at the end of your first year. Now, if you can't choose between two subject areas, so for example, let's say you can't choose between management and computer science, you can actually do what's known as a double major, where you can actually do two subjects all the way through as your dual specialization. So they call that a double major. So definitely, if you're not entirely sure what you want to do, the Canadian system is very, very flexible and will allow you to take several different courses before seeing which you like best and declaring a little bit later on what your major will be. Integrated academic and student life, we do put a huge emphasis on clubs and societies and learning outside of the classroom, which feeds into experiential learning through internships, through work placements, volunteer projects, exchange programs. So lots of opportunities for you to learn outside the classroom, which can add to your academic experience. Now, the way you earn your degree is also very, very different than the European approach. So again, in the European approach, typically you earn your degree by taking lots of exams at the end of your second and third year. Whereas in Canada, you're going to earn your degree as you go along by earning credits, by taking lots and lots of different classes. So typically each year you will take somewhere between 10 and 12 individual classes. So think of them as modules. And for each of those classes, you will have exams, homework assignments, and maybe a term time project to work on. And all the grades and scores from those exams, assignments, and projects go towards giving you a final grade for that individual class for that year. So over the course of your 4 years, you'll be taking 40 to 50 classes, each with an individual grade, and we'll take your average grade from all those classes to give you your final degree classification. But what that also means is you earn as you learn. So by the end of your first year, you will have completed around 25% of your degree. By the end of your second year, you'll have completed 50% of your degree, and so on and so forth. So a lot less emphasis on big catch-all exams at the second and third year, and a lot more emphasis on getting your homework assignments done, working on projects either by yourself or as a group, and earning that degree as you go through. Now, I want to take a little bit of time to have a quick look at active learning, which is all of those things that you can do outside of the classroom to help enhance your academic learning, but also your social learning. Learning those soft skills are going to be very, very important to you once you start applying for jobs. So we've already talked a little bit about research and how research universities attract the world's top professors, but also you can actually get involved in research at the undergraduate level. So you don't have to wait until you're doing a master's degree or a PhD to get involved in research. You might have a research component as part of your undergraduate degree, or you might decide to do some independent research. Or it could be that one of the professors that is teaching you is looking for research assistants. You might volunteer and have a great experience there as well. But getting involved in research, especially in sciences and engineering and applied sciences, it's a great opportunity to get your hands dirty and actually get some hands-on experience that you can then put on your CV or your resume, which is going to be fantastic when you do start applying for jobs. Now, we also offer lots of different work experiences, whether it is short-term internships or work learning projects on campus, or we actually run a very, very robust system at UBC, along with a number of other Canadian universities, called cooperative education. Now, the idea behind cooperative education is to give students a series of work placements lasting around 3 or 4 months that could be with different companies, or it could be with different roles within the same company. It could be international in scope as well. But the whole idea is to give you a great number of experiences where you can see, is this the right job for me? So I've shared a few companies on screen that UBC partners with, and the whole concept is that in your third and fourth year, you would go and do a work placement and you wouldn't do any study for one semester. And then the next semester, you would bring back the knowledge and experiences from your work placement and apply them in a classroom setting. And then the next semester, you'll be back in the workplace, the semester after that, back in the classroom, until you've done 4, sometimes 5 placements. So this will stretch out your degree to 5 years rather than the 4 years. But within that time, you'll have around 12 months of tangible work experience. You're getting paid for this work as well as a full-time, short-term contract employee, and you'll have a really wonderful idea of where the next steps of your career might lead to. So, for example, we see lots of students that go into computing or marketing and comms that are really interested in Google or Hootsuite or those types of companies. But it could be that you get a placement with Google and maybe Google Empire is too big. You know, the work you're doing, yes, it's important, but maybe you're not having quite as big an impact as you would at a smaller company. So your next placement, instead of going back to Google in California, you head out to, a small tech firm in Central Europe and you work with them. And maybe that's a better environment for you as an individual. So again, the question I asked right at the start is why? So you can ask all these questions while you're doing these work placements. Why am I here? What is it about this company that interested me in the first place? Is the work I'm doing something I can see myself doing in 5, 10, 15 years' time? Is the city I'm living in, is this somewhere that I can visualize myself living in the future, making a life here as well? So definitely these work placements can really help in channeling your future career options. Now, we do have lots of athletics and sporting opportunities in Canada. Most universities will have what we call varsity teams, which are representative teams for that university where you compete against other institutions. They will also have club sports and intramural sports, which are much more social in nature. So, for example, UBC, we have 31 varsity teams across men's and women's sports. And to give you an idea of the standard and the quality of athletics programs that we run, we've had 65 former student athletes win Olympic medals, including 18 golds. So definitely if you're a keen sports person and a high standard sports person, you can carry that on at university in Canada. Or if you're not quite at that level, it's great fun to go and watch or take part in the intramural and social side of things. Okay, so moving on to clubs. This is another great way of gaining some great experiences, both socially and potentially linked to future careers as well. So I'm sure that most of you in the chat rooms will have interests and hobbies that you currently have, and maybe you'll have some things that you've always wanted to try but haven't been able to just yet. So definitely going to university is one of those times in life where you'll have plenty of time to get involved in different things. So certainly getting involved in clubs and activities is a great way of carrying on with the hobbies that you already have and meeting like-minded people, but also try something new as well. If you've never been skiing or snowboarding, go and try it. If you've never been ice skating, go and try that. Trail running, mountain biking, camping, try all those different things. It's a great opportunity to find a new favorite hobby. But also a lot of the clubs and societies will have, as mentioned, a link to professional careers. So for example, we have the Engineers Club, we have the Sailbot team, we have UBC's Portfolio Management Fund, where you can actually invest university money on the stock exchange. So great opportunity for students looking to go into finance or investment banking to gain real life work experience there as well. So definitely get involved in the clubs and activities. That should be a big part of campus life for you. Again, see what the universities you're interested in have to offer. Does it match with your personal lifestyle and interests? And if it does, then maybe that university can go on your shortlist. Okay, so Go Global. This is UBC's branding of our exchange programs and international opportunities. So most universities will have something very, very similar, where you can maybe do an exchange with a partner institution in a different country for a semester or a full academic year, or maybe go and do some volunteer programs internationally as well. So it's a great opportunity for you as an individual to go and explore the world a little bit better, but also, again, do something worthwhile with your time, whether it is meeting new people and building your network, getting some perspective on your life and the life of the world and other people, or gaining some great experiences, again, that you can put in your CV or your resume when it comes to start applying for jobs upon graduation. Okay, so the last couple of minutes before we move into Q&A, I'm just going to talk you through the application process in Canada. It is relatively straightforward. Number one, choose the university you want to apply to, as well as the degree or the faculty, that general area that you're interested in, whether it's science or business or arts. Always review the requirements, because each university will have slightly different requirements in terms of what you need to get in for that particular faculty. So to give you an example, if you're looking to do humanities or social sciences at UBC, you'd be joining the Faculty of Arts. We don't have any prerequisite subjects that you need to take in order to come in. We're just looking for good grades overall. If you're looking to go into sciences, we're going to want to see some higher level science courses that you're taking at your high school. If you're going into business, we're going to want to see maths at a high level there as well. If you're thinking of applied sciences and engineering, then we're going to want sciences and maths as well. So always check the prerequisites for your specific program before you apply to those universities. But also be aware that every university might have slightly different requirements. So just because UBC wants maths and sciences for engineering doesn't necessarily mean another university will want all of those as well. And then most universities will want you to apply directly online and pay a deposit, an application fee, which is usually around $100. Now, most universities will solely look at academic performance as their basis of making you an admissions offer. Some courses will also require a portfolio. So, for example, fine arts, media studies, film production, those types of arts-based courses will want a portfolio. And some universities are asking for a personal profile or a short statement of intent of why you want to study at that university. So UBC is one of those, and I know that University of Toronto has that as well. And the final thing I'm going to put up there is competitive evaluation. So most Canadian universities will not publish what grade you need to get in order to be admitted, because it very much depends on the number of applicants applying in any given year and also the quality of those students applying in any given year. So for example, to use the IB, which is very, very straightforward, it's out of 42 points. I can't say that we can get every student into UBC who applies with 37 points, because this year, it could be 39 points is the average to get into sciences. Next year, it could be 35 points. So again, it depends on who else is applying and the strength of that applicant pool at any given time. Now, a quick look at costs, and this is UBC costs. So costs for tuition will vary greatly depending on the institution, ranging from around 10 to 12,000 Canadian dollars at some of the smaller universities, all the way up to around 50 to 55,000 Canadian dollars if you're looking to do something that's very resource intensive, like applied sciences at the bigger universities. So also you'll have to factor in your room and board, so a meal plan and food on campus for the year, and also additional costs would be textbooks and laptops. Now, we also do offer lots of scholarships at UBC, and many of the other Canadian institutions will give scholarships. The majority of UBC scholarships you're automatically assessed for them. So you don't have to do anything in addition. There's no extra essays or applications. You just apply as normal, and we will give out entrance awards, which can last for 4 years and give you up to 25,000 Canadian dollars for each of those 4 years. We also have a number of what we call nomination scholarships, where your school can nominate you as an outstanding individual, an outstanding student. But again, you can find all the information on scholarships on the various websites for the different universities. The last thing I will say on scholarships is always check the deadlines, because the deadline for the general application might be different than if you have to apply for a scholarship. So for example, the nomination scholarships at UBC, you have to make sure that you get your application in by December the 1st, whereas the general application deadline is January the 15th. So if you miss the December the 1st deadline, you won't be eligible for scholarships. Okay, so I'm aware that I've rushed through that quite quickly in 30 minutes because there was quite a lot of information to get through, and I did want to leave a lot of time for questions. So if you only remember one slide from this session, please, please, please remember this next one, because this can really be your map to choosing the right university for you. Think about your motivations. What are your motivations for choosing a university? And like I said, from my own experience as an international student, from friends I know who are international students, and through my long time now as an international education professional, the three main areas for this are location, city, urban. Which country would you like to be in? How big is the campus? Academics, what style of academics are you interested in? Okay, does the university interested have your courses? Is it lecture-based? Is it lab-based? Is it a combination? And then also, what opportunities are there available outside of the classroom for you to enjoy yourself socially, have a good time outside the classroom, but also opportunities to help you develop the skills and network and connections that are very, very important in order to have a long and successful career after you graduate. So please, please, please remember those 3 points because they will serve you well in the future. And as mentioned, there is my email address, tom.whittaker@ubc.ca, if you do have any questions that you think of later on. Now, I'm going to go back into the chat room because I believe we should have a few different questions coming through. So I'm just going to click on the questions tab. Okay, the first question I've got here, is there a dentistry faculty for undergraduates, undergraduate education? Now, dentistry and medical courses in Canada are all postgraduate qualifications. So you would actually do a full undergraduate degree and then go on to med school after that. Now, another point of contention for international students is that not every Canadian university will have medical courses or medical places open to international students because there is a medical practitioner shortage. So most universities won't have those places available, but double check, always check, are the places available? However, you can certainly go and do an undergraduate degree in Canada, you know, do a science degree and then go to the US or elsewhere to do that afterwards. Okay, next question. Could you please inform us about scholarship opportunities for master's level? So for postgraduate qualifications, again, very, very similar to undergraduate scholarships. It all depends on the quality of your work. If you're looking to go on and do research-based master's programs, then you can present your proposal and they might be able to give you funding that way as well. Okay, next question. How many hours per week can postgraduate students work for supporting themselves? So whilst you're a full-time student, as part of your study permit, you can work for 20 hours during term time, and you can actually work 40 hours when classes aren't in the process as well. And then also, how many years can students legally work in Canada after graduation? So if you've done a full degree in Canada, you can stay and work for 3 years on that post-study work permit, and then that can be renewed for further 3 years. And in that time frame, you can actually start applying for permanent residency, which means you can stay indefinitely. And then if you want to, as mentioned, actually stay on and apply for citizenship as well. Okay, next question. Do you offer many teaching assistants and resident assistant positions? And the answer is yes. So at UBC, for example, we have 50 accommodation blocks on the Vancouver campus and 5 different options on the Okanagan campus. And each of those dorms will have a full-time housing professional, and on each of the corridors, you will have a residence life assistant, which is typically an upper year student, maybe second, third, or fourth year, who just looks after everyone on that corridor, make sure things are happening in the way they should be. You get paid for those. Many universities will actually offer free accommodation and board for those places as well. So those are definitely available. And also teaching assistant positions, again, as an upper year student, third and fourth year, those would be available at most Canadian institutions as well. Okay, so do we need separate application fees for applying to different programs? So yes would be the answer if you're looking to apply to different universities. If you're applying to the same university, many will have a first and second choice option, and you will just pay one fee for the general application. So for example, at UBC, most students will choose a first and second choice. Some will even put a third choice on there. That is an option as well. And it's one fee for everything there. Okay, so question from Zainab, quite specific about learning about master's degrees at UBC, having some problems finding exactly where to go. Please take my email address and send me a message, and I will put you in the right direction with the correct links for that as well. And again, Isagul, are you going to inform us about MA programs and scholarships? I actually work with just the undergraduate team. The faculties in Canada tend to do the postgraduate work, postgraduate recruitment themselves. So typically it would be a case of contacting them directly. However, if you have my email address, which is tom.whittaker@ubc.ca, I'm more than happy to direct you to the correct colleague in the faculty of your choice. And yep, PhDs are available, especially the big research universities like UBC. But again, if you're looking at universities across Canada, you will have a huge range from those really, really small undergraduate-only universities with maybe several hundred or a couple of thousand students, all the way through to the bigger research-intensive universities like UBC, like McGill, University of Toronto, for example, and they will have lots of opportunities of postgraduate study, doing PhDs and masters. And also another question about scholarships at postgraduate level. Again, I don't have any specific information about postgraduate scholarships other than those delivered from the faculty themselves and are all based around the quality of your prior academics, both at high school and at university. And also, again, if you're looking to go on and do research work, it will be the quality of your proposal, and you'll receive stipends and scholarships based upon those things. Okay, so I think that is the end of the questions there. If anyone else has any further questions, then please feel free to email me. Again, it's tom.whittaker@ubc.ca. So please send me those questions. If I can't answer them, then I will definitely have a colleague or know someone who I'll be able to pass you on to for those things as well. So I think 5 minutes to go. New question here. So again, questions about scholarships for postgraduate students. Again, send me an email and I will send you the information through for that. So just to quickly recap, choosing universities, again, whether it's undergraduate or postgraduate, please make sure that you're thinking about your own personal success, both socially and academically, choosing university based on an environment that you're going to be comfortable living in. And also, when you start looking at the university and the size of the university, you're going to be successful and happy in that learning environment as well. And hopefully that's UBC, because we do have a lot to offer both at our Vancouver campus and also our Okanagan campus. If you do have anything else, again, one last time, my email address is tom.whittaker@ubc.ca. Happy to answer any questions that you've got there. And again, as mentioned, if I can't answer anything, I'll make sure that I find that information and pass it on to you. So thanks again from me. And I think I will pass it back over to the IEFT team. Thank you.
Tom, thank you very much. It was a great presentation. And there were a lot of questions I see that people are very interested in. So thank you for participating.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.